16 years old at the copy kiosk, you press your own house key inside. The grinder shapes it in seconds flat. You slide loose coins across the worn counter. The whole copy costs about $5. 2 full decades quietly slip past you. You sign the papers selling your locksmith business at a quiet closing table. The wire finally clears for $300,000. Just 2 cut keys frame 15,000 locksmiths. And the trade keeps steadily shrinking each year. Your starter tools cost less than 1 video game, but the ceiling rises to a hardened vault. Its guard door weighs a full 3 tons. Nobody ever hands you this steep ladder. You climb it by feel, 1 pin higher. This is every level of a locksmith's career. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The bedroom picker, where every locksmith quietly begins. Somewhere between 16 and 20, you make nothing yet. This hobby actually costs you real money instead. One night, a slow teardown video plays across your phone. Then, you buy a cheap beginner pick set online quickly. Clear practice lock ships from that very same product page. You seat the tension wrench low inside the keyway, apply light rotational pressure with 1 steady thumb, and slide a hook pick gently above the driver pins. Then you find the first binding pin under real tension and push it upward until it clicks satisfyingly home. Then hunt for the next stubborn pin patiently again. You set the spool too hard on your next attempt, the plug snaps back sharply against your fingertip, and you start the whole thing over from scratch. Then the quiet room settles around you once more. You reset your grip on the small tools, then feel the last pin finally drop home, and the padlock swings fully open in your palm, with no peeking on your first honest try tonight. That is the small win nobody ever paid you for. You graduate from the clear lock to a real master padlock, then time yourself against a stiff quickset deadbolt next. The man you keep copying frame by frame nightly turns out no real locksmith by trade at all. The picker they all call lockpicking lawyer online everywhere started his popular channel back in early 2015, posting quietly from a small rented mailbox out in sleepy Damascus, Maryland even today. And that little channel just kept steadily climbing. Now he counts over 4.6 million subscribers. He once cut a bike lock wide open, clean through on camera in about 2 seconds. For 15 long years before that big change, he argued cases as a business litigator downtown, inside a busy Washington law office daily. Then he walked away from law entirely, just to film these strange little clips instead. You learn the vocabulary long before earning a dime. Shear line, binding pin, spool, and false set. You start carrying the little pick set everywhere now, zipped deep inside your worn jacket pocket. Most people who reach this quiet level never advance, never turn it into a steady paycheck anywhere. But you plan to break that quiet pattern soon. You become the rare exception to that stubborn rule. The next open is a real front door instead, with a real paying customer waiting nervously right there, breathing quietly behind that heavy wooden door. And your hobby finally turns towards something bigger. This first level is finally, truly behind you now. Level 2. The key desk. You are 18 to 25 years old now. This is your first real paycheck in the trade. Your first wage runs $15 to $20 an hour. You stand behind a hardware store counter all day. You cut blanks on an HPC key machine. You match keyways on an LCO duplicator. You rekey quickset and Schlage cylinders by hand. A customer pays $1 to $5 per copy. You cut 100 of them before lunch. The cutting wheel whines against soft brass. Curls of metal pile up on the bench. The machine oil smells like honest work. You learn the residential rekey cold now. First, you insert the working key fully. Then you turn the plug 90 degrees over. You slide it out with a plug follower. The follower traps the top pins and springs. You dump the old bottom pins into a tray. You blow the dust out of each chamber. You gauge the fresh cuts against the new key. You drop in bottom pins to the shear line. The bottom pins step in tiny increments. Each step is 23/1000ths of an inch. You reseat the plug at the wrong angle once. A spring jumps the shear line instantly. Loose pins scatter across the whole bench. You breathe out and start the job again. This time you hold it at 45 degrees. Nothing jumps and every pin stays seated. A veteran trainer drills one rule into you. Always test the lock with the door open. So you test it open before trusting it. You turn the fresh key in the cylinder. The deadbolt throws clean on the first try. You feel the bolt seat with a solid click. That is your first solo rekey holding. You stop counting how many blanks you cut. A shop in Memphis advertises this exact rung. It offers the same wage to ride along. You sweep the brass shavings off the counter. You hand the licensed tech his pickle fork. You pass him the plug follower and the gauge. The customer signs the ticket and relaxes. You watch how he calms a frightened customer. The service van pulls out of the lot. Your name is not yet on the door. Not yet, but you can already picture it there. Level 3. The Mobile Locksmith. You are 22 to 35 years old. You run lockout calls from a van now. The key machine is bolted to the floor. The national median sits near $51,000 a year. That number comes from the Federal Labor Bureau. You rekey whole houses right after a move. You install fresh deadbolts on the doors. You pin small master key systems for offices. You pull broken keys out with an extractor. You carry a full set of leashy picks. A plug spinner rides in the pouch. A bore scope lights up the dark keyways. A number 4 Swiss cut file waits ready. It is for the job with no key. That job comes to you on a Tuesday. An older woman is locked out completely. No original key exists in the whole house. The easy money here is to drill it, but you do not drill it today. You pick a soft brass blank first. You sand the blade perfectly flat. You insert it under steady turning tension. You hold it with a pair of vice grips. You rock the blank very gently now. The binding pins mark the soft metal. You read the little silver marks carefully. You file each marked spot down. You read the third cut slightly wrong. You file that one far too deep. And the whole blank becomes useless scrap. You grab another blank and start over. You go slower and calmer this time. You rock it against the pins again. The pins mark the fresh brass cleanly. The correct cuts begin to show themselves. About 10 minutes in, it finally happens. The plug turns smoothly under your fingers. The heavy door swings quietly open. You never once touch the drill. She almost cries right on the step. And you almost break down too. This is where the trade's ugly cousin lives. Somewhere, a scammer quotes just $19. He hands over a crumpled cash invoice. He charges $200 to $400. That same year, the real scale showed. A search giant removed 10,000 fake listings. They all targeted urgent trades like yours. So you stopped giving phone quotes entirely. A locksmith out of Glenwood Springs, Colorado. He gets tired of the endless scammers. He films them and posts the receipts. So you decide to do it his way. You quote the price right at the door. You show the worried customer your license. You prove you are real before anything. In California, the Locksmith Act sets rules. You need a clean fingerprint check. It stays on file before you work. You become the calm person who arrives. You arrive when someone is scared and stuck. The reputation you build gets you further. It opens the one room still closed, the room where the locks beat everyone. That last room is a heavy safe. Level 4. The Automotive Locksmith. You are 25 to 40 now. You hold a state license card. A single car lockout runs about $150 for a few minutes of work. The money is not in the door anymore. The money is in the chip now. You wedge a trim tool into the top corner. You slide in a deflated air wedge. You inflate it slow to gap the frame. You drop a plastic wedge to hold the gap. You feed the long reach tool inside. You trip the unlock from the inside. You push the air wedge too fast once. The door panel creaks in protest. You back off just before it cracks. You ease it down and hold the gap steady. The long tool slips in clean now. Then the phone rings again fast. It is an all keys lost push-to-start car. No working key exists on the whole planet. You cut a fresh laser key first. You plug an Autel programmer into the port. You start the security handshake carefully. The transponder pairs with the car. The immobilizer finally clears itself now. The engine turns over on the first crank. That beep is worth real money. It is worth more than the door ever was. A smart key job bills $200 to $450. You become a registered vehicle security professional. The car makers trust you near their locks. The programmer lives on the seat now. It rides closer than your picks ever were. The techs who skip the updates lose. They fall behind within a single year. But you keep buying every update. You study each new car system nightly. You learn the rolling code fobs cold. You clone a key in a few minutes. You add a spare onto the ring. A stranded family thanks you hard. It happens on a dark, cold shoulder. You pack the programmer away gently. The next locks have no keyways at all. They have dials instead of keys. You look toward the heavy safe work and the vault door waiting up ahead. Level 5. The Safe and Vault Technician. You are 30 to 50 years old. You are 8 to 15 years deep. A certified safe role posts near $28 an hour, but the independent per-job work bills far above that. You manipulate a mechanical dial by feel. You do it to recover a lost combination. You defeat the hidden relockers inside. You service government containers by contract. They run the Kababas X10 locks and the Sargent and Greenleaf locks. When manipulation will not work at all, you drill with carbide and diamond bits. You set up a rigid drill rig first. You thread a borescope through the hole. You read the lock from inside it. You park the wheels one by one. You test the fence against the drive cam. You graph the contact points at every number. You narrow the high and low points. You derive each wheel's hidden gate. And you dial the combination it hands you. Your first solo job is waiting now. It is a jewelry store vault on a deadline. You drill a hair off the point. You catch the hard plate wrong once, and the drill bit smokes badly. You correct the drilling angle slowly. The carbide bites in true, and the clean hole finally goes through. The heavy bolt work slowly retracts. The vault door finally swings open. The branch manager finally exhales hard. You stop flinching at the squeal. It is carbide grinding on hard plate. The credential here is not cheap at all, and it is not fast either. The safe path is a 2-week course. The exam tuition alone runs $1,400. A trade body called S-Savta stacks it higher. There is a certified professional safe technician first, then a certified master safe technician above. You now open the impossible things. They were built to defeat everyone else. Only one rung remains above you. The phone rings for the impossible job. It is the job nobody else can do, and you are the very last call. Level 6. The Master Safecracker. You are 40 now. Steady. You run a multi-van business with your own crew. Dispatchers route the trucks while you handle the hard calls. You testify in court now as an expert witness. Courts pay you about $500 an hour. You fly nationwide to crack what will not open. A business listing service tracks what a shop owner earns. That median wage sits near $135,000. An Orlando shop just posted its whole operation openly. The place was listed for sale at $300,000. You build recurring property manager contracts that renew monthly. You document the earnings cleanly across 2 full years. Then you list the business and train the buyer. The referral call comes in, and it feels wrong. When a famous musician died alone, a job appeared. A safecracker out of Camas, Washington got flown out. He drove to the estate to open the basement vault. It was a Mosler American Century built like a fortress. That steel vault wore a 3-ton door and relocker. A mousetrap relocker waits to seize the boltwork forever. He knew the exact model before he ever arrived. "I keep track of these things," he told them. "Just my job, really. Nothing more than that." He micro-drilled a tiny hole around the hidden trap. He read the wheels through a borescope and slipped in. The boltwork fell back, and the door swung wide. He sits in the Safe and Vault Technicians Hall of Fame. His publisher notes he has never once been arrested. It is his job, so you stop advertising entirely. In his memoir, he remembers the ratio he ran on. Early on, he charged $5 to rekey a lock. He would charge $500 to drill a safe. Same skill, wildly different price for the same hands. You finally list your own shop for real. A buyer signs everything under a strict non-disclosure agreement. The phone number transfers with your name still attached. Your dispatchers keep the vans rolling without you now. The trade quietly shrinks, even as its best earn more. You stand closest to what people most want protected. Same trade, opposite end, and the ladder is climbed. Here's what nobody tells you at the kiosk counter. The steel machine grinds and drops a fresh key. Peak of this whole trade was never the picking. Flashy lockpicking is a hobby and marketing act. It photographs well, and it sells online courses beautifully. Real ceilings sit somewhere much quieter and far higher. People at the top drill safes by patient hand. They manipulate stubborn dials and quietly run whole companies. Most famous lockpicker alive barely works a lock. He was a lawyer who retired to film videos. Calm tutorials recorded in a tidy suburban home office. Highest paid safecracker in the country advertises almost nothing. He works referral only. No website. No painted van. No sign hangs outside. No listing sits in directories. Being genuinely unfindable is itself the real status marker. The whole ladder rests on one unshortcuttable thing. Trust is the quiet currency every single rung buys. Each rung was permission to stand a little closer to whatever people most desperately wanted protected, the wallet and the record and the family heirloom. Meanwhile, the trade itself is shrinking a little yearly. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects it down 8.3%. Fewer apprentices sign on, fewer old hands stay working. People who can truly do this grow genuinely rare. That growing scarcity is exactly why your phone rings. The rare hand always gets the call in the end. You started with a pick set cheaper than dinner. A flimsy Amazon kit rattling in a bedroom drawer. Now you hold combinations to hardened commercial bank vaults. And sealed government containers almost nobody else can crack. The distance between those two facts is a whole life. Somewhere a 16-year-old is standing at that Home Depot kiosk, copying a key for about $5 this afternoon. Sweaty palms and a borrowed dollar and a bored clerk. Feeling the first faint click of a single pin. A pin he nudged open in his bedroom last night. They think the whole thing is a magic trick. To him it feels like impossible sleight of hand. It is really only the very bottom rung showing, the same rung you once stood on, terrified and thrilled. The $5 brass key you cut at 16. It hangs framed on the wall behind your desk, warm brass catching the low light of the lamp. A small monument to where the long climb began. Every certificate around it cost years and quiet nerve. The vault down the hall answers only to you. Cold steel and a spun wheel and held breath. You learned its combination the way you learned patience. Nobody handed you that number without earning deep trust. That was the entire secret ladder hidden all along. Permission granted one careful rung at a very time. This quiet morning, the heavy vault door finally opened.